The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Meridian Rural Fire Protection District, Idaho, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 39192. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting at the top of the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar spanning the top section of the roof. Located in the center, you'll find your opticom. As we move down onto the brow of the apparatus, located in the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight and 5 identification clearance lights. As we move down to the seamless one-piece windshield, there are 3 windshield wipers across this space. Just below the windshield on the passenger and driver side is where you'll find grab handles for gaining access to the windshield area. And below that, you'll find emergency warning lights. There are 2 on the right and 2 on the left, forward-facing red lens. Below that is your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. On the outside edge, that's where you'll find the marker turn indicator. As we move down to the bumper extension, side-facing emergency warning light in the lower zone, and then also a siren speaker. Moving inside of that location, dual air horns, and in the bumper notch in the center, you'll find your mechanical siren. Let's take a couple close-ups of what we just talked about. First, starting at the very top with your forward-facing floodlight. As we move down to the windshield wipers, also your logo located here in this section. Moving back to the grab handles. Below that, the emergency warning light structure, and then also headlight structure below that. Let's go ahead and move now to the bumper extension area. On the side of the bumper extension and also on the face, in the very center is where you're going to find your notch for your mechanical siren. Also to each side, you'll find your air horns. Just underneath this area on the frame rail is where you'll find a open-end tow hook. These are not intended for towing the vehicle and do have a 6,000-pound direct pull. As we move to the outer edge, you'll find a emergency warning light. This is part of the lower emergency warning zone, and then also electronic siren speakers and PA speaker. Back to the headlight structure, where you'll find your marker turn indicator light. And as we move now to the cab area, let's start at the front axle, where you'll find Alcoa wheel and Goodyear tire, visual sight gauge in the center of the axle. As we move into the step well area, you'll find your air inlet and also shoreline auto eject. We're focusing in on the front side of the bumper. On the angle is where you'll find your siren speaker, and on the side you'll find these lower zone emergency warning light. As we move to the rear cab wall, that's where you'll find a low zone emergency warning light. And as we move just up from that location, marker turn indicator light back onto the front of the vehicle. Easily accessible with a gloved hand, these are the door lock and latch combinations. They are keyed. For gaining access in and out, you'll need to use the grab handles for maintaining 3 points of entry. As we move over to the front axle, you'll find an emergency warning light located in the very top section above the American flag. As we move to the side on the A-pillar is where you'll find a mirror housing a flat and convex mirror, grab handle, and also door lock and latch. Between the driver and crew cab area at the very top, you'll find an emergency warning light. Just below that, you'll find an American flag 343 logo. As we move into the step well, this is where you'll find the air inlet and auto eject for shoreline power. Let's take a look at the airline located in the front section. As you move just to the rear of that location, this is where you'll find the auto eject. It is a 20 amp shoreline inlet, and it will auto eject. Moving now to the door panel, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information down in the lower section. You'll also find your door lock and latch combination, window control, and a grab handle. You will find this yellow placard also identifying the date of manufacture, job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and also fluid type. As we move to the base of the seat area, this is where you'll find when plugged into Shoreline Power, the Auto Charge Status Center will indicate the battery voltage. Also, comfort controls in the seat with air ride suspension. Moving now to about the left knee of the operator, you'll find the master battery switch, quarter turn. It's the silver. Just next to that, you'll find the engine, transmission, and ABS diagnostic port. Below that, you'll find about 4 switches. These are going to be your ABS transmission, DPF regen inhibit, and also diagnostic switch. Moving now up to the dash area where you'll find the ignition and start switch. Just inside that location is where you'll find the EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage and also disengage all emergency warning lights with one push. Just inside that, the headlight and panel light, which allows you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the dash area. As we move now to the dash cluster itself, we'll start on the left-hand side of the gauges, starting first with your transmission oil, def level, and water temp. On the opposite side, you'll find volts, fuel, front air, and rear air. Located in the center is the tachometer and speedometer. Both diagnostic information will display in the screen below, and then also it will display in the tally light information above and below the tachometer and speedometer. As we move to the right side of the steering column, just below the dash area, this is where you'll find the OK to engage the high idle switch and indicator. Just to the right of that location, main mirror control and convex mirror control for both left and right mirror. As we move to the top, this is where you'll find the view of your backup camera in the monitor. Just below that, we do have some switches here for the rear dump valve, front wheel lock, and off-road traction. Just below that, additional switches. These are going to be the engine brake on and off, settings for low, medium, and high for that engine brake, a pump PTO switch, and an indicator when the pump PTO has been engaged, the light will illuminate green. Also, load manager and mirror heat. As we move further down, you'll find the push-to-talk button on the side for your headset system, and then also the wiper wash control located just on the right-hand side near the off-road traction. As we move to the yellow diamond, this is the pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. These are the rear spring brakes, and then also the Allison transmission pad, digital readout, push button, and also information here regarding all of your fuel levels can be accessed through that device. Climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. As we look overhead, I'd like to point out the yellow placard on the left. This is indicating the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 1 inch, length of the vehicle, 32 feet 5 inches, gross vehicle weight rating, 56,000 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle that may change any of these settings, please update this placard. As we move further to the right to a set of switches, these rocker switches are for your emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When any of these switches have been activated, the light indicating on will be green. Moving to the next switch panel, you'll find your high beam flash for your headlights, opticom, siren horn selector switch, and then also a siren brake for your mechanical siren. Some scene lights are located here, front scene, driver and passenger, and also rear scene. As we move further to the right, this is where you'll find your siren control module and PA speaker system. As we look to the visor, you do have a retention knob located at the very top section. In the center of the vehicle, you'll find a seatbelt information. If you're in the seat, you'll be green when you're belted and red if you're not. Also, you'll find this red light illuminating. Do not move your apparatus. You may have a compartment door open or ajar. Also to the roof line is where you'll find your plug-in location for your headset. Just a quick view to the rear wall where you'll find a roll-up compartment door and also rear-facing seats. Let's move now to the exterior cab area. First, let's start with the front wheel where you'll find Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, and a visual sight gauge. There are also mud flaps to the rear of that tire. As we move into the stepwell area, you do have step lighting when the door will be open, and then also to the very rear, you'll find a lower zone emergency warning light. As we move into this space, you'll find a fixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, electric window control, and a grab handle and door lock and latch. Just inside the cab area next, where you'll find two rear-facing SCBA seats. Also down at the very base is where you'll find a grab handle for gaining entry and exit at the hinge point area. Below those seats is where you'll find your heater located just below the seat panel. General view into the inside area. We'll start first with your SCBA seats. These are bracketed for your pack. And then also right next to that, you'll find a box light. The lift and turn latch in the lower section is for gaining access to the rear portion of the engine for your daily checks for oil and transmission. As we move overhead, you'll find push on and off white or red lens lights, and then also your intercom location for plug-in. As we move to the pump panel area, we'll start at the very top section where you'll find two dead lays located in the very top section. As we move into the gray module, you'll find your master intake gauge and also master discharge gauge. Between the two of these are your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They're currently plugged and are utilized for testing purposes. To the right-hand side, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule for test pressures at 150, 200, and 250 psi. Moving now to the pressure throttle governor. To the right of that location is an audible alarm. That outer edge does rotate to either increase or decrease sound level. To the right, if you've engaged your pump properly from inside the cab, your OK to pump will be illuminating green. Under the pump panel, you'll find your large diameter passenger side discharge. This is a wheel valve and also pressure gauge. Tank fill and recirculating line. Right next to that is the engine cooler. That's a twist, not a pull. As we move down on the pump panel also, we have two discharges, number 1 and number 2. One is on the driver, the other is on the passenger side, along with a water level indicator in the blue module. Moving just to the lower section, you'll find a warning placard indicating entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. This is the number 1 driver's side discharge, a 2.5 inch. Just to the right of that, you'll find your powered equipment rack. Just a quick reminder, we do have some danger placard information along with instructions here to raise and lower the equipment rack. As we move to the right, you'll find your electric prime. It is a wattress push button. There is a cautionary note here indicating that you should at least have 1,000 RPMs for best practices when activating the electric primer. To the right, as we previously mentioned, this is your engine cooler, and then further to the right, you'll find your tank to pump. Let's move downward on the pump panel, identify a few things. Once again, that warning placard. Caps may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them. To the right, the American flag Eagle logo is the large diameter pump inlet, and then also an auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5 inch female, locally controlled via the ball valve. Moving back for a close-up here of the pressure hazard warning. As we move just to the right of this location, the American flag Eagle is going to be the large diameter inlet. It is capped, and then down to the lower left, you'll find your auxiliary pump inlet on the driver's side, 2.5 inch female inlet, locally controlled. All of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains are located here across the very bottom section. Just a quick reminder here that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment. That's only after proper training. As we move to the right, you'll find your pump drain, and then moving down to the very bottom, the placard at the very bottom is your wattress placard indicating a capacity of 1,000 GPM for your pump. There are also some hose cutouts located here with dry deck material and also Velcro tie downs. As we move to the body section, you'll find just in front of rear of the axle, folding wheel chock storage location. To the front section of the axle is where you'll find your marker turn indicator light, and then you'll also find a lower zone emergency warning light to the rear. These are the fill locations for your DEF and also diesel fuel. As we move toward the center section, this is a storage location for SCBA bottles. As we move to the forward section of the upper portion of the body, you'll find a scene emergency warning light. Also, where the Meridian Fire Department is located, this is where your folding tank will be located behind that panel. Close up here of the light. and then we'll move down into the lower compartment next. As we move inside, you'll find an adjustable shelf and also a pull-out tray. The release mechanism for that tray is located on the lower right-hand side. Let's go ahead and move just underneath the compartment area where you'll find the storage location for your folding wheel chock. And then let's go ahead and move up to the forward section where you'll find the def fill location. It is the blue cap. Moving toward the lower portion, just underneath the def fill, is your marker turn indicator light. Once again, Goodyear tire and Alcoa wheel on the tandem rear axle. As we move up from this location into the very center, this is in between the two tandem axles, lift and turn latch will gain you access into this space for 2 SCBA bottle storage with retaining straps. As we move to the rear section, emergency warning light, and then also the fill location for your ultra low sulfur diesel fill, which happens to be the silver cap. We're now to the rear compartment. D-handle will gain us access into this space. In this space, we have a pull-out tray. Once again, the release mechanism for that tray is on the lower portion of the tray, right side. Then let's go ahead and move down from this location where you'll find in the rub rail, you'll find an emergency warning light, and then just underneath that, folding wheel chock storage to the rear of the axle. There is also mud flaps located at the rear of the vehicle. As we move back up to the top, there is an emergency warning light bar. And then just another photo here of the water tank storage location for your porta tank. As we move to the rear portion of the apparatus, we'll identify a few items here. We'd like to point out some warning regarding the movement of that device so we don't have any crush injuries. Also like to point out a warning regarding fall hazard, never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Also a warning, when climbing on or off the vehicle, you should always face the vehicle while doing so. And at the very bottom, we have an entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. We're now to the lower rear portion of the vehicle. A lift and turn latch will gain you access into your rigid hose storage for your drafting tubes. There's one on the passenger and then one also on the driver's side. Starting at the top, working our way to the bottom, emergency warning, brake, turn, and reverse light. We do have 2 cupped switches in this area, one for your rear scene light and the other is for the rear dump valve open and close. As we move to the top, you'll find rear-facing scene lights. Also, just to the right, you'll find a protected cover along with your backup camera. This is in the very center of the vehicle. As we move down from this location, you'll find the dump chute located at the rear in the center. It does have the capability of swiveling left and right. Underneath on each side of the frame rail, you'll find 2 closed tow hooks located here. As we move to the running board area, you'll find your identification clearance lights located. There are 3 here and 1 on each outer edge. Underneath the rear tailboard is where you'll also find ground lights, which is part of your perimeter lighting. As we move back up to the top, this is a rear-facing scene light. Some additional warning placards are located here because of the movement of the device here for the portable water tank. As we move to the rear, you'll also find direct tank fill located here, locally controlled via the ball valve, and there are also female coupling inlets. Moving just to the right, same configuration, lift and turn latch will gain you access into this space. This is location for your long hose rigid drafting tube. Also moving to the right, you'll find grab handles and also emergency warning lights, and then also a switch for your hose bed lights. Moving also down to the lower right hand side, this is where you'll find the license plate light along with the emergency warning, brake, turn, and reverse light. Let's go ahead and move around from the rear of the apparatus and we'll now move on to the passenger side of the vehicle. Starting up in the very rear, it's that emergency warning light bar. And then as we move downward from this location, D-handle gains us access into the lower compartment. In this compartment, we're going to find a pull-out tray
Once again, release mechanism located on the lower right-hand side. There is LED lighting inside this compartment, along with the other compartments, in addition with ventilation. As we move to the rub rail just below this, you'll also find a lower zone emergency warning light. Let's move just underneath this space, and this is where you'll find your mud flap at the rear. Then as we move just up from that location, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light to the rear of the tandem axle. As we move in between the two axles, you'll find a storage location here. Lift and turn latch will gain you access into this space. This is where you'll find bottle storage for 2 SCBA bottles with retaining straps. As we move forward to this location to the very top, same configuration and layout with the side-facing scene emergency warning light, and also a general view here of the porta-tank storage location. As we move forward, D handle gains you access into this space. Also to the rear of that is where you'll find your marker turn indicator light, adjustable shelf, and also a floor-mounted tray release located on the lower right-hand side. Same configuration, marker light just in front of the rear axle, and then also in the rub rail emergency warning light. Just below this is the diesel exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operation. Please be cautious where you park your vehicle. Let's move now just up from this location, where we'll identify a few more items, starting first with the pump panel area at the very top. This is where the crosslays are located. These are both crosslay dead lays. As we move down onto the pump panel itself, you'll find a warning regarding an entanglement hazard. Because the line's coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. Also, this is the control module for your powered equipment rack. We do have a danger placard because of the movement of that device. Also, instructions here to raise and also lower the powered equipment rack. Just down from this, you'll find an additional module. This is the cab lift module. We do also have some caution and danger because of the movement of that cab and the dangers associated with that. We also have instructions here to raise and then also instructions to lower. The switch is a protected switch for raise and lower. As we move just to the left of this location, lift and turn latch will gain you access behind the pump panel for visual inspection. As we look inside this space in the very top section, you'll also find a pump house light. There is a push-on switch on the actual dome of that light. Moving back to the pump panel, where you'll find a discharge located on the passenger side. This is a 2.5-inch discharge. Right next to it is where you'll find an additional warning placard regarding pressure hazard. As we move down, you'll find the large diameter discharge. It's the green labeled discharge. And then also the American flag Eagle Pierce logo is your large diameter passenger side inlet. An additional inspection behind the pump panel here, just a pan door located for gaining access into this space. As we move to the very bottom section, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. There is also a tubbed or cutout area in the running board located here, dry deck material on the base, and then also some Velcro tie downs. We're going to move now to the cab section next. Pretty much the same configuration and layout as you have on the driver's side as you do on the passenger side. Emergency warning scene line at the very top section. Just down from that, the American flag 343 logoed flag. And then as we move just down from this location, you'll find your door lock and latch combination and grab handle gaining access to the rear. Same thing, all of our safety and warning placard information are located on the door panel along with your grab handle, electric window control, and also door lock. At the hinge point, this is a grab handle for getting access in or out. And at the base of the rear-facing seat, this is where you'll find your additional heater. As we move to the two seats, once again, rear-facing, they do house SCBA brackets for your pack. And then also as we move to the ceiling level, you'll find push-on and off white or red lens lights. Also the plug-in for your intercom system. As we move to the stepwell, we do have lighting into the stepwell area. As we look underneath, you'll find your front mud flap And then also as we move to the tire, you'll find Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, and that visual sight gauge into the center of the axle area. Back up to the cab area where you'll find an additional grab handle and also door lock and latch. This is for gaining access into the officer space. On the A-pillar door is where you'll find your flat mirror and convex mirror. As we move to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, once again located in the lower section. Let's move inside to the officer space. First, let's start at the upper section here where you'll find your siren brake for your mechanical siren. 12-volt access located here behind the cover. Also barrel style access for 12-volt here. As we move to the A-pillar in the forward section, you'll find your windshield wiper fluid fill location. At the floor level, you'll find your mechanical siren foot pedal for activation. As we move to the officer seat, you'll find comfort control. It is an air ride, and that is the air ride adjustment switch. SCBA pack located in the back of the officer seat. As we look overhead, you'll find push on and off red or white lens lights. Also, you'll find the Sigtronics Squelch Intercom volume control module. As we move just down from this location to the officer visor, there is a retaining knob located here. And then as we move up to the top, you'll find your air horn pull tabs and then also plug in for your intercom system and a holder. Back to the exterior, this is the marker turn indicator and identification light. As we move down to the bumper, this is the side-facing emergency warning light, and on the angle is where you'll find the speaker for your electronic siren PA speaker system. Congratulations, Meridian Fire Department, Idaho, on your new Pierce fire apparatus. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.